This house isn't advertised. You can't live in it for long. Because the mirrors here don't reflect the living. The house was built in 1926, on the outskirts of town, far from the main streets. It looks ordinary. 2 stories, basement, narrow windows. Over the course of its history, it has housed more than 20 families. Not one of them lived here for more than a year. The reasons given were always different. Moving, illness, family problems. But the details always matched. The first recorded complaints belonged to the Morrisons. They moved into the house in the spring, and already on the 3rd night, the woman noticed something strange. She went into the bathroom. She looked in the mirror, and she saw not her reflection. The face in the mirror was different. Older, someone else's. It stood where she should have been, and it looked straight at her. The woman blinked. She turned away. And when she looked again, the reflection was gone. She assumed it was fatigue, or a trick of the light. But the next night, it happened again. With each passing day, the reflections appeared more and more frequently, and always different. Later, it turned out the mirrors in the house reflected the people who had lived there before. Arche, clothes, hairstyles. Everything matched the archival photographs. The reflections didn't speak. They didn't move. They just stood and stared. Until the 11th day. That's when something happened that changed everything. The reflection in the bathroom mirror slowly turned its head, but the woman didn't. It moved on its own. From that moment on, the mirrors stopped being passive. They began to observe. The reflections began to appear closer. Sometimes too close. So much so that the room itself was no longer visible in the mirror. The couple barely slept. They began covering the mirrors with cloth, drape sheets over them. But the reflections continued to appear, even through the cloth. On the 14th night, the neighbors heard a scream. Sort one, then silence. When the police entered the house, it was empty. There were almost no personal belongings left. There were no signs of a struggle either. The mirrors in the house were empty, as if no one had ever been reflected in them. The house was put back up for sale. The story was hushed up. The documents were filed away, but it all repeated itself. Each new family saw the same thing. First, a strange reflection, then a pattern, then movement. Over time, an unspoken rule emerged. If there was a mirror in the house, it had to be covered. The last family knew this story. Te prepared. All the mirrors in the house were covered. Taped over. Put Hawaii. All except one, an old mirror in the basement. They decided no one went down there, and there was no danger. For the first week, everything was quiet. The second, footsteps began to be heard from the basement. On the 3rd night, The mirror in the basement was clean, even though no one had touched it. And in the reflection, several figures stood. They were of different ages, wearing different clothes, but they were all looking at the same spot, straight at the one standing in front of the mirror. The house was empty 2 days later. It has stood abandoned ever since. The windows sometimes light up, but no one comes inside. They say the mirrors still work. They do show the residents. It's just that now, no one comes out. Sometimes the reflection isn't you.